I went on a hiking trip with my mom and her friends about a month ago. We went to the McGillvray Falls self-guiding trail in the east part of Manitoba near the Ontario border. I'm a teaching assistant and it's summertime, which means I'm off work and have a lot of time on my hands. My mom was telling me about how her and her friends were going on a hike and asked if I wanted to come, so I said yes. I was nervous about how the experience would be as someone who doesn't talk a lot when they meet new people, but I had a feeling it would be a chill day. The day started with a 1.5-hour road trip. I brought one of my library books with me called Wild Girls, which helped make the trip fly by. It's a good read, by the way, if you're interested in learning about the intersection of how natural surroundings help shape the mentality of strong pioneering women. Once we got to the head of the hiking trail, I felt at peace. One thing I really like about getting on a trail is that my mind feels more calm than compared to being in the city. All the noises of traffic kind of settle away and are replaced with birds chirping, gravel and rock shuffling as I walk, the rustling of leaves in the wind, and the occasional chatter of my fellow hikers. Even though I'm shy in new interactions, I do love meeting new people, and I also wanted to spend time with my mom and get to know who she enjoys spending her time with. As the youngest person in the group, I also felt like I was with aunties and uncles. They offered me snacks when we sat down for breaks, and I felt comforted by their care. The McGillvray Trail is a beautiful, well-maintained intermediate hike. If you live in the Winnipeg area, I highly recommend checking it out. Since it is an intermediate hike, just be prepared to bring a bottle of water, some snacks, and some good hiking shoes. Most of the trail is made of rocks and roots. There are sections of dirt trails, but only wide enough for one person to walk through at a time. It might feel a bit claustrophobic if you're not used to walking through small trails in the middle of a forest. There are also sections of the trail that can cross bedrock, which could become disorienting, but there are signs and the occasional hikers that can help guide your way back to the path. Honestly, I mostly trailed behind the aunties and uncles because they had taken this trail before and I didn't want to slow them down since I was taking photos and videos. One of my favorite things to do on a hike is to see how many different plants I can identify. On this trail, there were a lot of blueberry bushes, juniper, wintergreen, raspberries, and reindeer moss. Sometimes I do my own research. If there's a plant that looks really interesting to me, I take a picture of it and look it up when I get home. Sometimes I'll learn about different plants from camping survival videos I watch on YouTube, and when I get on a trail, it's kind of like an opportunity to apply what I learn. One of the plants I like finding is wintergreen. It has a fresh herbal and minty smell when you crack the leaves, and it also has a pleasant herbal and minty taste. If I'm confident that a plant is safe to eat, I like giving it a taste, and it kind of gives this multi-sensory vibe to a hike. After the hike, we stopped at Caddy Lake to have some lunch. Everyone brought a dish to share. My favorite were the rice noodles and pickled vegetables. We spent a good 3 to 4 hours eating. My mom and her friends had conversations about life that I listened into. It was interesting to hear what 50 to 60-year-olds were worried about in life and their perspectives. Mostly about retirement, which I can't say I'm too worried about right now. One of the aunties pulled out a whole tea set, so I knew we were staying for at least another 2 hours. Near the end of our stay, we went on one final hike, a small one up a viewing point to look across the lake. Overall, it was fun, and I'd do it again. Thanks, Mom, for bringing me out. I don't feel like going to Home Depot and getting paint, and I've been staring at these swatches for the past couple of days, thinking about whether or not I want like a white color or a green color. Now I'm thinking I kind of want a cream color, and I didn't get any swatches for those. But I know as soon as I brighten up this space, work on these walls for the next few hours, I'm gonna have to move things away from the walls. Okay, one thing that does motivate me is finding some nice clothes to wear, kind of making everyday errands an event. And I think when I put a little bit more effort into how I look, I feel better about myself and I get stuff done. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to Dollarama, Home Depot, and thrift store. We're doing those 3 things. And now that I've changed, I feel better. I feel like I'm ready to go into the world. I'm feeling good about myself. So we are going with this color today. It is White Sage. It's a pretty light green. Right now it kind of looks white. Like, this is a white. The last thing I'm gonna do is go to the thrift store and donate some things that I found while I was sorting through that storage bin. Something that he said in one of his videos was not giving yourself like the chance to answer the question whether or not you're gonna give something away or whether or not you're going to like keep it for a little bit, get rid of it immediately, because then you end up just like keeping things that you're trying to get rid of. It makes you feel like you still have clutter. You should be valuing your space now rather than thinking about the space that you want to have in the future. I don't know if he said it exactly like that, but that's just what I got from it. That even just the action of clearing your space up with things that you no longer use, that's enough to make you feel happy. So, as I mentioned before, I've been thinking about painting these walls for a while. The last time these walls were painted were probably 10 years ago when my sister was experimenting with room design. Now that I'm planning to live here for a couple more years, I wanted to create a space that reflected who I am and a space that I could really call my own. I decided to go with a light green color because I thought it would brighten up this basement suite. I only have a small window that doesn't bring in a lot of sunlight. This painting process took about 2 weeks. I painted the first 2 walls that surrounded my workspace because I use that area the most. I also plan to move some of the furniture around so it looks less like I just moved in. With one room, it's really easy for it to feel overwhelming or cluttered because there aren't walls to block or separate areas. There was one area of the room, which you'll see in a bit, that wasn't being used at all and just looked like a storage area. My goal is to create distinct spaces with intention to do things like read a book, make art, or watch shows. That way I don't resort to lying on the bed and I can use the space in here more productively. Then my boyfriend Alex helped me with the other half of the room, which I'm so thankful for because we were able to move things around, tape, and paint in about half the time. I used a paintbrush to get the corners and around the sockets, and he helped with the first coat of paint for the rest of the walls. While painting and waiting for the paint to dry, we watched Final Draft, which is kind of like the Japanese version of Physical 100, except the athletes have to compete for their food and sleep quality too. Highly recommend if you're into watching athletic competitions. It was really wholesome to watch too because everyone was so supportive and friendly towards each other. It also motivated me to keep painting because if they can climb a mountain, then why can't I paint 2 walls?